Welcome to LSAT Unplugged.
Hi, thank you for having me, Steve.
Thanks so much for joining. So I was really excited to speak with you because I think you're doing a lot of great work to help law school applicants over on Instagram. And I thought we could have a short conversation where I get some of your best advice for law school applicants. Are you ready to dive in?
Yes, definitely.
All right, fantastic. So I work with a lot of students studying for the LSAT, taking the LSAT, and some students have what it takes, but some just can't get to their goal scores no matter how much effort they put in. At what point do you typically recommend that applicants decide enough is enough, or what scores do they actually need for some of these top schools?
So for top schools, I would say that you want to get as close as possible to the 165 to 170 range, just because they're only looking at, the top percentile in terms of those scores. You can take the LSAT up to 5 times. So, obviously you don't want to overdo it. But I do think once you take the exam the first time and you get your first score, you should really go back and analyze the breakdown of your score and really focus in on the areas where you're not doing as well. I always tell people, don't waste time focusing on the areas where you know how to answer the questions. With the LSAT, you can't go wrong. You're gonna get points for everything you score correctly. So the focus should be breaking down that very first LSAT that you take, and then from there, amping up the score points in the area where you're not doing as well, to improve your overall score.
That's great advice. Yeah, I encounter a lot of students who, if they love logic games, they'll just keep doing more logic games because it's what they like, but maybe they actually need to do more work in the other sections of the exam, the reading comprehension or the logical reasoning. You will focus on your weak areas to get the biggest improvement.
Right.
Now,
Absolutely.
what do you advise as far as retake specific advice? If applicants they're reviewing their previous exams, they're targeting weak areas, what do you advise them with regard to retaking, when to retake, how to decide whether to retake, which schools are looking more favorably on retakes?
I don't think a school would look down on you taking it twice. So I would try to achieve my best score within 2 takes. I would try to avoid taking it 3 times. I do think that the best time to first take the exam is over the summer. So the goal is, I always tell people, you want to apply to college, law school, it doesn't matter. You want to apply by Halloween. I always tell people that's like an easy day to remember. So with my organization, LawyerBaes, part of our coaching with people that are looking into getting into law school, we always say Halloween. And so if you know that you are, going to do that by Halloween, then you definitely want to take your LSAT over the summer. You definitely want to do that. So in the event that you didn't do as well, then you can take another one in the fall. I know another one in the fall is usually offered in November. And then if you have any last minute applications you want to submit, you can then submit them by December 15th. So the window really should be that you take it, obviously as soon as possible, but definitely by the summer. And then that way you'll have a decent score for your fall application.
Right. I totally agree. Applying earlier is better whenever possible. I love that benchmark of getting it done by Halloween and taking it in the summer so that you have the chance to retake it in the fall if you need to.
Absolutely.
And I think, if anything, that law schools, they don't mind retakes. Students are retaking more often than ever before. And
Right.
especially with the LSAT going digital, like some applicants are confused by the new format. They might need another attempt on it to do better. So I like what you're saying there. Now, I understand that you also help applicants with applications in terms of personal statements and recommendation letters. What general quick advice would you share on each of those?
I would say for your personal statement, so how this ties into the LSAT. So you may not get the exact score that you want, So what else can you do to make your application stand out? The short answer to that is your personal statement. So maybe you're not a great test taker, maybe you can even mention that in your personal statement, and you can say maybe why. The top schools, even the median schools, what I try to explain to people, colleges, but especially law schools, they have a profile that they're looking for. So say, for example, we'll just use me for an example. I play the violin. I double majored in a foreign language, Spanish, score of 170. I'm an African-American female. Okay, so that's my profile, right? And then let's say my application comes in, and I don't know, let's pick Princeton sees it, right? Or Harvard Law School sees it. And then there's a woman that comes in and her profile looks exactly like mine. I mean, like similar instruments, foreign language, similar school, African-American female. My application was there first. So if they've already selected me, I've already fit a certain profile that they have. So it's not that student B is inferior to me. It's just that they've already accepted me. So I already feel that profile of that type of student that they're looking for. So a lot of times you'll even be waitlisted, not because you're not good enough. It's just that they already have someone with your profile. They're looking to have a diverse student body. Especially the bigger schools are looking for diversity, whether it be immigrants, women, things of that nature. So I always tell people, if for some reason you don't get into your top school or you're waitlisted, it's not because it's like, well, I have this score, I have this, I have that. It's the profile. So the way that you can make your profile stand out is if your personal statement really makes you stand out and doesn't make you like any other candidate that they have. That's the place where you can really shine.
I love it. And I love the fact that you're comparing yourself to another similar applicant. You have to figure out what are those distinguishing features. You apply earlier as one feature, but also specifics about the application itself, aside from the numbers, could help as well. Like how you tell your story could be more compelling than how another applicant with similar background tells their story.
Absolutely.
What about letters of recommendation? What advice do you give around that?
Letters of recommendation. What I would say is, obviously you have college professors, but also look at your employers, like where you interned, where you've had a previous job. Try to select people that can really speak to not just your academic aptitude, but also just like your work ethic, because your first year of law school is going to be the hardest. And so, they want to accept applicants that they know are going to work hard and are going to, come into the school and really buckle down. So I would say, I know a lot of times people lean towards, academic references, obviously, but also look for references with interns and previous jobs that you have for those professional references for a law school application.
Yeah, that's great advice. So now that we've covered the application a bit, let's say our applicant is now they've been accepted to law school. They're going to start in maybe a few months from now, and they're wondering what can they do now, if anything, to prepare for law school. I hear a lot of conflicting advice around law school prep specifically, but I think you help applicants with law school prep, right? So can you share a bit more on that?
Right. So one of the things that my LawyerBaes organization does for applicants, once you studied for the LSAT, you've gotten a decent score, you've gotten into law school, now it's like, now what, right? So one of the things that we do as a part of our coaching program for the JD, so the law student, is we really focus on getting you through your first year. So a lot of times people look at law school as 3 years. Let me break the news to you. It's really 1 year. The reason why I say that is because your second and third year is mostly electives, and you're doing internships and your associate programs and things like that. if you want to A, stay in law school, and B, be considered for some of these top internships and associate programs, they're going to look at your first year grade. So I always say your first year is your most important year. Don't worry about getting a job or networking. All of that is second and third year. Your first year is all about your grades. It's all the core subjects of law school. All your required courses, for the most part, are in your first year, like your torts, your real property, constitutional law, criminal law. All of that. That's your first year. So the goal should be to get the best grades as possible and quickly identifying where the courses where you're weak, and maybe getting a tutor in those courses so that you can get a decent grade. But definitely, your first year, once you're in law school, your first year is your most important year. In fact, they're thinking about condensing law school now, where it will really just be 2 years of like your academics, your courses, and your third year would be a required like internship or associate program that you have to do, which I think is a fabulous idea, because a lot of people are coming out of law school with great grades, but they're not lawyers. They've never practiced. They don't know how to do anything. So with that being said, it just goes to show that really that first year is where your focus should be when you're entering law school. Get the grades, and then everything else will fall into place.
Fantastic. And that definitely echoes what I've heard similarly elsewhere as well. The first year is that make or break. And that's really where you want to buckle down and focus. I also love the idea of condensing law school, putting a little more practical information and experience there as well. But that first year, keeping those grades up, that's also what a lot of future opportunities will be based on as well.
Yes. And in addition to job opportunities, your first year grades will determine if you're going to do like law review or mock trial or some of these other things that look good on your resume going into an employer application. So yeah, your first year really determines a lot. And so I always tell first years, let that be your focus. Put your energy there. Definitely.
Fantastic. Well, Jay Carter, this has been enormously informative. I appreciate you sharing your advice with everyone. And you want to share the best way for folks to get in touch with you if they're interested in finding out more?
Definitely. So the LawyerBaes organization, you can find us online at lawyer, LAWYERBAE.com. And then obviously on Instagram, our content on our website is also on our Instagram, LawyerBaes, LAWYERBAES. That is our handle on Instagram. And we look forward to you guys following us and following Steve with his LSAT company. We're really excited about this partnership and helping students move forward with not just getting into law school, but graduating and becoming successfully licensed attorneys. So thank you.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.